Hello, this is Dawn, and for those of you that haven't viewed my short bio video yet, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but first an overview of the purpose of the video. I do want to share a little bit about the course. I'm not going to go over the entire syllabus because I know you can read that on your own, but I do want to talk a little bit about some things that I think are important going into the beginning of the semester so that you have an understanding of how things are going to be organized and the kind of content that we'll be dealing with in the course. So first, a little bit that I didn't say in my short bio that's posted in Padlet. I did originally get my undergraduate degree from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire in secondary mathematics, and then my husband and I moved to Iowa, where we lived for about 7.5 years. There I taught middle school and high school math while I was working on getting my master's degree from Iowa State University. My master's is in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in educational technology. I stayed on there as a lecturer to get my PhD, and it's also in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in educational technology. So as I mentioned in my other video, I've been here at CSU Stanislaus since February of 1996, so I've been here a long time. I really enjoy what I do. I've taught this class many times, and it changes every time I teach it since it's only offered once every 5 semesters, and technology changes so quickly that the content and what's relevant is always new every single time I teach it, and that makes it a lot of fun to teach, and hopefully you'll find it to be a really good learning experience. The way that I decided to organize the course this semester is different from all of the other times I've taught it. In the past, I don't know, 2 years or so, although it does go back farther than that, digital citizenship has been a really big issue, especially as schools are moving to one-to-one device to student requirements or criteria. So I thought I would kind of use that concept very broadly to choose the topics that we'll take a look at during the course. But with that said, I don't want you to think that the course is going to be only about digital citizenship, as you'll see on the next couple of slides. The topics that are attached to digital citizenship go beyond things like the obvious, bullying and etiquette and so on. Framing it that way allows us to get at different kinds of things that I would normally address in the course as well. So more on that in just a bit. Common Sense Media is a resource that provides a lot of materials for people who are interested in teaching digital citizenship concepts to their students. And I'm actually not going to use their framework, but I wanted to make you aware of what they have available, and I wanted to specifically look at the kinds of topics that they include as part of their definition of digital citizenship. So they include internet safety, privacy and security, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, bullying and digital drama, digital footprint and reputation, self-image and identity, information literacy, and creative credit and copyright. So at their website, you can actually download lessons that are aligned with these 8 topics and across these grade ranges so that you could either modify them or use them as is, but that's the way they kind of structure their definition of digital citizenship. The way that I'm choosing to define digital citizenship is instead aligned with the way Ribble defined it in 2009. So he articulated 9 different topics which do overlap with those in the Common Sense Media site, but they're a little bit different from that as well. So Digital access, the way they've defined that, or Ribble has defined it, is full electronic participation in society. So that includes multiple topics of interest to me in particular, equity, both in terms of race, gender, and other kinds of topics. So that's actually what we're going to look at in the first couple weeks of the class. He also talks about the idea of digital commerce, which is not one of the included areas in the common sense framework. So digital commerce in Ribble's definition is electronic buying and selling of goods. And then digital communication is another area, and by his definition, that's electronic exchange of information, specifically the sharing of information. So we'll take a look at that. And those three topics are kind of grouped together and will be for your digital citizenship lesson 1 assignment, the group of topics that you can select from for that. More on that in just a bit. So then the second set of 3 topics that Ribble defines, one is digital literacy, and that is one of the common sense media topics as well. So that's the process of teaching and learning about technology and the use of technology. Digital etiquette is another one of his topics, and that is basically the examination of conduct online and procedures online. And then he follows that up with digital law, which is, again, not something that Common Sense Media includes in their definition of digital citizenship. So Ribble defines this as electronic responsibility for actions and deeds. Then the next 3 topics, which will be what you choose from for lesson 3 that you turn in the class. One is digital rights and responsibilities. So these are freedoms extended to everyone in a digital world. Next, digital health and wellness, which is both physical well-being and physiological well-being in a digital world. And then lastly, digital security, which includes information related to privacy and other safety-related topics. So the website, Wibble has a website that includes more information about these 9 topics, but this is just a general overview, which I think is important for you to understand in terms of framing how we're going to navigate through the semester. So some of the topics have information that there's just a wealth of information about a lot of these topics. So we're going to spend more than 1 week on some of them. And what I've done is selected current articles, and by current I mean 2016 or newer, related to the various topics. So there's a wide variety of articles that we're going to read. Many of them are very short. A lot of them are very opinion-based, which I think is good. And I've tried to pick an array of resources so that you're not just going to read and see one point of view. So kind of going back to the Ribble framework, he has divided topics into 3 kind of broad categories. And the first category is respect yourself and respect others, and that comprises etiquette, access, and law. And that's going to be your lesson 1, or your lesson 1 topic will come from among those 3 areas. Then secondly, educate yourself and connect with others. That's literacy, communication, and commerce. That's your lesson 2. And then your lesson 3 is protect yourself and protect others. So that's related to rights and responsibility, safety, and health and welfare. So again, that kind of gives you an overview of the way I've chosen to frame the class. And again, just to reiterate, the class itself is not solely about digital citizenship. It just is a framework for the way I plan on introducing educational technology issues, which is the focus of the class. So as you look through the syllabus, one of the things that you'll note is a lesson plan assignment, which will require that you submit 3 different lessons throughout the semester. There's defined due dates that are listed. And in the description for the lesson plan assignment, you will see that it says that at least one of the 3 lessons must come from the upper 2 levels of the SAMR model, whereas the other 2 lessons can come from any of the levels. So just in case some of you are not familiar with the SAMR model, it's basically a 4-level model to describe the way technology is used in a lesson. So the lowest level, or level 1, is called substitution, and that would be a lesson in which the technology is used in a way that just substitutes for something that could be done without the technology. For example, if you digitize a worksheet and students are completing that worksheet in a Google document, then that would be considered substitution. And there's nothing wrong with that because there are appropriate times for all levels of the SAMR model. It's just that what we hope is that teachers start to move toward more of the level 3 and level 4 uses of technology. Augmentation is when technology not only substitutes for something that could be done without it, but it does so in a way that improves over the original. So if students were using a Google document, for example, that you've created, or a worksheet created in Google Docs, but then you use hyperlinks within that document to take them to websites that are they're related, and maybe you ask questions about that content, then that would be an improvement over a regular standard worksheet. So it would augment something that is just purely substitution. So those 2 levels are considered ways in which technology enhances the lesson, but the lesson could still technically be accomplished without. The upper 2 levels, level 3 is modification, and that would be a situation in which the technology allows students to do things that they really couldn't do without it. So, for example, collaboration with various tools, the creation of digital products, and then we get to redefinition, where there are just certain things that are really difficult to carry out at all without the technology, especially through project-based learning, video production or creation by students, for example, something where they're creating and they're involved, they're often collaborating with others on these tasks. They may be posting their results for other people to see and comment on. So the idea that these upper levels transform learning is kind of the key here. So with regard to the SAMR model, I really want you to think about, for at least one of the 3 lessons that you're turning in, that you design the lesson in a way in which technology is used to modify or redefine learning. And then one last thing that I wanted to mention before concluding the video is I did want to alert you to the Educational Technology Conference held by the Stanislaus County Office of Education in conjunction with several other organizations. It will be held on the campus of CSU Stanislaus on Saturday, February 23rd. We've hosted it on our campus now. I think this is it's either the 3rd or the 4th year. Prior to that, it had been held at one of the Modesto High School campuses, kind of alternating a little bit. And this is a really really good conference if you haven't ever been there. There are about 1,000 teachers who participate each year, and there are sessions offered by teachers to share some of the innovative and creative things that they're doing with technology in their schools and classrooms. So if you hadn't thought about going to the conference, or if you haven't been there before, I strongly encourage you to do so. The address is on here, so if you want to link to that, you'll need to sign up soon to make sure that they don't reach their limit. But just something to keep in mind, and if it doesn't work for you to attend this year, certainly I hope you will do so in the future. So that's all that I wanted to mention in terms of course overview. Please read through all of the materials carefully, and if you have questions as you're looking through any things, definitely let me know.